Good morning, hello, and welcome to the live Q&A. My favorite time of the day is coming live to you guys, talking and answering questions. So today I want to talk about the foods to eat and the things that you should be eating for type 2 diabetes. It's very important that you know what to eat, because it's not always about what not to eat. It's more about what to eat, so you crowd out the bad things and it's just good. You know what I mean? Not all good, because hello, 80-20. But today I want to talk about the foods you should eat to help you reverse type 2 diabetes, because I think knowing just like a really simple, these foods are good, eating more of those foods ultimately only means a good thing. And I love that for you. It's what helps me, I think, lead a life that I think feels good. I was able to reverse my insulin resistance. I was able to heal myself completely of like terrible eczema. And I think it was because I started to understand what I could eat and what I should eat, as opposed to looking at it really restrictively as like what I can't eat. We will touch on some things that I would like avoid for the most part, but I like to talk about the things that we get to do as opposed to things that we don't get to do. It's like a more positive way forward. So some of the best foods that you can eat, again, I say this all the time. If you watch me on live at all ever, you know that like I am all about whole foods, unprocessed foods, as whole and close to the source as possible. That being said, I understand that right now there are so many barriers for people to have the type of food that we deem healing or good, and I kind of hate those like frameworks around it. So what I like to say to people is you have to do the best that you can. If you are having to eat more carbohydrates and things like that, finding affordable ways to add vegetables back in, like using frozen whole vegetables, is a fantastic way to start to still add things back, even though you might be like limited by your budget at this moment. So that's very real, and it comes for all of us at some point in our lives where we are, down a little bit financially. It says nothing about you as a person. I had to really come to a lot of that realization myself when I was down bad. That being said, frozen food is great at this, like if you're trying to save money and also start to move the needle forward, because frozen vegetables are still going to give you the fiber and the antioxidants and the vitamins and the minerals. Don't let people tell you that, like frozen food is somehow inferior to fresh food. I like to talk about whole unprocessed food, and frozen food still falls into that category. And so you can still make beautiful bone broth that's affordable if you make it yourself. And you can add frozen vegetables to it, and that can be your vegetable starter, because then you're, making the most of how frozen vegetables and frozen food sort of comes to life in something like a delicious bone broth. And then you fulfilled your body's needs, and it didn't cost you a fortune. But what I will say about anything that has to do with healing and eating better and like starting to focus more on like what's going in is that, it has to be like, you have to do it yourself. A lot of stuff, unfortunately, or fortunately, if you're excited to get in the kitchen and learn more, hooray. But for a lot of people, that's been sort of the barrier. They didn't really understand what to do from a food perspective, or they just didn't like want to do it because what they know of it seems kind of like, deprivating. Not in my world, of course. But I would say that you have to get really, comfortable doing things for yourself, making your own bone broth, cooking things at home, becoming really curious about how you make things like taste delicious for yourself. Because if you don't do that, you're like surely to quit. And that really sucks, because you're not quitting because of anything it says about you. It's just that what you were trying to do wasn't working for you. But I honestly think that the way that I do things works for almost everyone, because it falls into, yes, what you do and like how you eat, but it also is what you eat, how you eat. There's so many components, but it all works within the framework of your life, because that's very important, because we only get one life. And I want to make sure that I live my best life in all ways, that I still get to go out and socialize and have fun with my friends, but I also still get to have like balanced blood sugar and like happy periods and all of that. Someone says, cutting out carbs and sugar has allowed me to experiment with cooking different foods. It's true. I wouldn't say you have to cut out carbs completely. Like, that's not really my school of thought, but if that's working for you, absolutely. But that's really, I love your attitude, because it has allowed you to experiment. You have to get curious about, like, what textures do I like, don't I like? If you don't like a fruit or vegetable, ask yourself why you don't like it. Once you can determine why you don't like it, you can kind of like put that toward every food that you like don't like, or you know, whatever. Like, you can kind of run it through that filter, and then you can meal plan better. That's one of the tips that I give to private clients all the time, and like, just gave it away for free. You're welcome. Because truly, if you understand like why you don't like something, as opposed to just like, ugh, I don't like that, is very surface level. But if it's like, why don't I like that? What about it? Is it the texture? Is it the texture with the flavor? Is it the flavor and then like something like it puts something in your head and then you can't get it out? Because then everything with that sort of like texture and flavor pairing, or texture or whatever, you would approach with caution. You wouldn't necessarily bet the whole week on that ingredient and make everything and then hate it. And again, that leads to more success. The more you know about yourself, the better you're able to do this. Someone says, more work, but fun, and I learn about what I like. Exactly. It's a real, like, like, understanding and awareness process when you are trying to heal from, like, a natural, like, you know, non-medical place, because you really do have to start, like, listening to your body. You have to start to understand what you don't like, what you like, why you like it, what you need, how to communicate those needs so you can get what you need. All of those things are required in a healing journey, I think. I mean, it was required in mine. And I healed a bunch of things. I was messed up, if we're being honest. But it was from years of, like, just, I will admit freely, like, I know why I was, like, in the place I was. It was because I used to be a DJ with my two, like, best girlfriends. And we drank and partied for, like, our whole 20s. And it just came back to bite me. And my body was, like, out of sync. And, like, even though it was, like, insulin resistance and, like, reactive hypoglycemia and eczema, it was all really, like, gut health, liver health, emotional health. And so you kind of have to really, like, go deep with yourself, because there's some things that you have to resolve that are just, like, about more than food in the end. Always. I'm just scrolling up to make sure I don't miss any questions. And oh yeah, I don't think I said it for anyone who hasn't been here before. If you have a question, you can put it in the comment box and I'll try and answer it. Someone says, I didn't know you can reverse this. You can reverse type 2 diabetes 100%. But there's a lot of people that say that you can't do that. And that's unfortunate, because I just don't believe things like that. That's not how my mind works. Like, I think if the body is giving you signals and you kind of like pay attention, there's a lot of things you can heal. There's some things that like Western medicine is absolutely needed for, and like I thank God for it, really. But there's also a lot of things that we throw at Western medicine that are like not that. And we also take everything that our, you know, doctors sometimes say as law, but they don't necessarily know everything about everything. They just don't. It's crazy to think that one person would know everything about everything. And so, you kind of have to be a detective on your own and figure out how you can reverse these things. I mean, you found me, so lucky. But I absolutely show people how to reverse type 2 diabetes, help people do it with all my offerings, because and like mindset is always like such a big part of it, but you absolutely can. So, and same person says I'm pre-diabetic. Yeah, a lot of people are pre-diabetic, but it doesn't mean that you are going to be a type 2 diabetic. Like, it doesn't have to mean that. It can mean that, surely, if you don't do anything to do anything differently. And that's always why I say that there's like 3 pillars to reversing type 2 diabetes for real. There's like blood sugar stuff, and that's why medication, you know, sorts out the symptom, which is blood sugar problems. But if you just do that and you don't like heal the gut, work on the liver, work on some like root issue, some inflammation. It's unlikely that without the medication, you're going to be able to do anything about your type 2 diabetes. But if you, even in conjunction with taking medication for your blood sugar, you could still start to be mindful of creating a framework around your gut healing, your liver, your inflammation, all of that. You just have to believe first that it does work, because it doesn't work if you don't think it does, which is unfortunate. I think it'd be great if things that you thought like were like BS, like were actually not, and you like could think they're BS and they'd still work for you, but it's rare. I'm pre-diabetic too. Changing my diet and consistent low exercise has lowered my A1C. Yes. I love that you say that your exercise is like low impact, because you will absolutely not punish your way to better like A1C, blood sugar, reversal, anything, because of the inflammation piece, which is like the third pillar. When you like do things that are really hard and really stressful and your body feels it and you feel it and it feels really punishing, that causes stress on the body, a cortisol response, which is like the thing that you absolutely don't want in anything ever. And like a non-normal like thing that's supposed to happen, like cortisol response, like if it's stressful. And if you are doing things that are punishing, you're causing your body to have stress. So again, low impact. Walking is like the best thing. I love that I live in a walkable city because it means so much to like your blood sugar. Walking is huge. It's free. Walk if you can, because that is going to be one of the best exercises for you. But also changing diet, it's like a lifestyle, truly. Reversing type 2 diabetes is like you start with the impetus of like reversing your type 2 diabetes, and then you continue the lifestyle with a little bit more flexibility, sure, in certain situations. But you kind of just like live a lifestyle like this. But you wouldn't want to go back anyway because you feel so good, truly. You really just, you feel so much better. I used to be a person that like needed naps, like needed them. Was just convinced I was like a napper. But no, it's just my blood sugar. Like now I don't really nap. Like if I nap, it's because like I've intentionally eaten something and like I know I'm going down. And I also know I'm going down, like I feel it. I'm like, I'm powering down, my blood sugar has dropped, like this is what's happening. But I don't really nap otherwise, and that's like a sign. Someone says, hi from New Orleans. Hello, welcome. I was wondering what you think of berberine. I love berberine. I think it's great. That being said, you just want to make sure that you take breaks from berberine because it can cause some gut stuff. And so like it's good. Like people lose weight on berberine. It's great for PCOS. It can help with weight loss resistance, cravings. Like berberine is, I love it. But I would recommend just like making sure that you're feeling into what's going on in the stomach, you know? If you feel anything that's like happening that feels off, it could be berberine. I like inositol that has the myo and the D-chiro. I like the like blend together a lot because you don't seem to have to take a break from inositol, whereas with berberine, you know, the thing about inositol is it does give you like a stomach upsetty feeling potentially. Like when you first start taking it, it's just your body getting used to it, but it gets used to it. And inositol, I'm going to do a video about how to take inositol because there's so many different ways, so many, all different things. There's powders, etc. So I like berberine, but just watch your gut. And if you want the same type of vibe, I would get inositol. And I also get this question a lot, so I'm just going to answer it here. If you're like Ovasitol is just a brand name of a like brand that has the myo and the D-chiro. Other brands have it too. Ovasitol is also a powder, so you mix it into things. When I first started taking inositol, I was taking a powder and I put it in my coffee, and that like my stomach was just like, babe, no way, not happening. So that was kind of disruptive for like the first day, and then sort of I just like switched it up. But once I like got used to it, putting it in like my protein coffee creamer, which is, I just posted the recipe because I know I kept talking about it. It's up right now. It like got over the stomach stuff. But the ones I take now are pills, and I just like take 2 before my morning coffee and then 2 before dinner. I don't really take one at lunch. And I love that, but I'll do a video on it. But I like them both, but that's the thing. Berberine, just watch your stomach. I'm trying to learn because I have PCOS and recently learned that I have insulin resistance. You probably had insulin resistance this whole time because PCOS and blood sugar are very interrelated. And so, you know, you just have to learn how to balance, like it's like a blood sugar play. So if you really start working on your blood sugar, flattening your blood sugar curve, that whole thing, you will see your PCOS symptoms release. But yours is definitely about like, you know, blood sugar, gut, and then also inflammation. If it's like PCOS connected. Most people, it's something, there's like root cause. For some people, it's just straight up blood sugar. That gets fixed, everything's gone. But for other people, there's a lot of underlying things that were going on that have led to, you know, all the things. So I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying most people. I also have a new offer. It's called Talk to Me. So I know that not everyone is able to afford like to join the blood sugar fix or even to do like a private coaching session. So it's just like you send me a question and I will send you a voice note, like answering your full question so that it's like it helps you get a start. So that's like the easiest way to like get some help that's like more personalized if you have like one big question. You can check that on the link in my bio. I came up with that this weekend because I saw someone else had it and I'm like, what a genius idea for people who, you know, cost prohibitive. Times be tough for some. I get it. Okay. Someone said something about Ovasitol, which I just explained. Frustrated on insulin 3 times a day now and met 2 times a day, still sugar is higher than 170s. I don't get it. My doorbell is ringing and I cannot fathom who that would be at this time. But anyways, I'm not getting it. We'll see. So there's something going on with what you're eating, how you're eating it, or maybe the volume. There's also so many other factors. That is definitely something you should talk to me about, LOL. I'll leave that in. But like, I would like, that's a little too deep for me to get into on like a live, but I would venture a guess that if you're like they're like upping your insulin consistently, and you're on metformin as well, and it's just like something is not working out, there's more to be done. There's potentially some like testing to like get you to go for, and we like go through together. There's, just some stuff that you need to do in order to hopefully help figure out what's going on. I think someone's knocking at my door. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna turn you to this place. Okay, everyone, wait. Oh my gosh, it's the best package. So I'll go through it, maybe. That would be cool. Okay, anyways, but you definitely need to go for some, like something deeper, because maybe they're not testing, maybe there's like thyroid stuff going on, gut stuff going on. If you're not getting answers and they're just trying to up you on all of these medications, I would really very much suggest that you start to like look at some alternatives. And like maybe the only thing, and this is what sucks about this way of going about things, like being natural about it, is the fact that you have to like pay out of pocket for a lot of things, and that really sucks. It does. But for me, figuring out what was going on with my skin and what was going on like with my body cost me money to be able to figure it out, because my doctor just like wasn't giving me the testing that I wanted. He was just like refusing. So, and I'm in Canada, so you guys think it's great up here. Sometimes it's bullshit up here too. So I would just recommend that. But if you want to get in touch with me, you want to like chit chat and maybe see like what I can help you with, send me a message on Instagram. It's just so much easier to go back and forth, and that goes for anyone. There's so much easier to like DM and talk on Instagram than it is on here. So I put my, my handle in my bio. So if you have like a question like that. Okay. I'm just scrolling. Okay. How did I start? I feel like this brain fog is so hard to even start thinking about where to start. I mean, that's fair. That's real too. Where did I start? Honestly, and this is going to sound like bullshit and I hope that it doesn't. I started with like mindset stuff. I was in a pretty dark place, especially when like my eczema was like really bad, like all over my body. I was in like a pretty dark place. So I needed to work on something. I needed to do stuff that was going to help me believe that it was even possible to get out of the hole that I felt like I was in from like a health perspective. And so that was like where I started. And I think that for me allowed me to be like more open to solutions. People were offering me for help. Like I just was like more open to things. I was very closed off and like tight about things before. And not telling people how like bad it was because I was like ashamed of it. Like it was like a whole thing. So for me, I had to really start up here. Because what I believed had to really change. I was kind of like mad at myself for being sick. It's like, and I mean, anyone who is gets that. And so doing things that would like empower me to just like feel good about myself, believe that things were for me. Like that was really helping. Meditation, breath work. Like that was where I was like finding myself at that time. And that was kind of stuff that I could do that didn't really need me to do anything else. Like I didn't need to add anything. I didn't need to cook more, like that. But from like a physical perspective, I just started with like an insane elimination diet. And while I wouldn't recommend that for everyone, like in the Blood Sugar Fix, we do have the anti-inflammation week. And I do talk at length sort of about that elimination, but I don't recommend that for everyone. It's not necessary for everyone. But because I didn't know where to start, that's kind of where I started. But where I would have started is with blood sugar, flattening my glucose curves like right away, because that is the symptom. So if you can start, and I always say don't just focus on the symptom, but that is one of the things that will stop the like continued inflammation. It will stop, the tiredness. It will help you sleep through the night. It will sort of like help give your body energy and like eliminate brain fog and eliminate those things that kind of make it so you're like, I can't even move forward, so that you have energy and space to start to get to the root cause, things like gut health, liver health, inflammation, etc. So I feel like that's that's like where to start, I would say. Because that at least is going to give you some energy back. Does my workshop have recipe for vegetarians? Honestly, not really. I believe in eating animal-based products. I do. So I would be dishonest to say that like you could work it out. You could work it out. But I'm definitely not the person that is going to be able to help you. I think in the best way that like supports you where you're at. Just because I would be wanting you to do like bone broth and like things like that. And that just might not be something that you're down for. So no, I'm sorry. And I apologize as well. How do I join the group? So if you want to join the Blood Sugar Fix, or if you want anything, if you want to do a private session, if you want to join the Blood Sugar Fix, which is a 12-week program, or you just want to do like ask me a question, you can get all of that via the link in my bio. Once you open the page, they'll all show up. Also, these, if you're like coming on later and you're like, I want to see what else people asked, I also post all of these on YouTube. So this one will show up on YouTube like this afternoon or like tomorrow. And I do these Monday to Friday now. So you'll get them, you'll see, have one to watch like every day, which is sweet, I think. So yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, also like, again, if you want to ask me any questions about any of these offers that I have, the best place is like on Instagram, just because the DMing back and forth is so much easier. And I put my if you click the link in my bio, there's like an icon that will take you to my Instagram, or you could just like search me, Bianca.Osborne. I try and keep it easy. It's just my name. I've noticed the days my blood sugar runs high and I'm taking insulin, it's stress. Totally. Stress. I say it all the time. And people don't want to listen to me. I mean, some people do, but some people don't want to listen to me. Stress is so bad for like a healing vibe. It's just like a life vibe. I honestly like I had to adopt sort of like, not a delusional girl vibe. I say that like jokingly to my friends, but I had to adopt like I fly above it. Like I can't get into it. Like I can't take it on energy, because I just knew that taking on any, like, what people thought of me, what people might be saying about me, like, what's going on, like, whatever. I just knew that was, like, not helping my condition. And I've always been preoccupied with that kind of thing. My FOMO has always been terrible. Like, that's always been, like, the running joke in my life. Like, just caring so much about what's going on outside of, like, myself. And once I was like, okay, I have to, like, detach because I have to stop being so stressed about everything. That is when I think that I was able to honestly open up to true healing. Because everything I felt like I was doing everything right before, but that one thing, doing that has really helped significantly. So I always say to people, like, you can't find ways to just get rid of stress. Like, we live in 2023. Everything is stressful right now. Like, everything, you name it. But we just have to find ways to manage it. It's not going anywhere, but we have to find ways within ourselves to manage our stress. Okay, I've been struggling with diabetes and I've just had my 3rd miscarriage because of it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I would love to help you. I've definitely worked with people who are TTC, trying to conceive, those with gestational diabetes. Like, wow. Have you had any help? Like, have they given you any thing for, like, or like, what's going on? That would be my question. If you've had 3 miscarriages and it's your diabetes, or like, are they testing those embryos? Like, are they testing you once everything happens? Are they testing it to see what's happened, like for any genetic abnormalities, like, or whatever? Because if they're just saying, oh, it's your diabetes, it might not be that. I mean, it could be like getting your diabetes under control is only going to serve to help you, of course. But also at the same time, it's like, there's so many different factors that you have to be mindful of when you are trying to conceive. Diabetes and blood sugar is absolutely 100% one of them. But you also have to look at your inflammation. If there's any inflammation going on in the body, in the area, your body diverts critical energy away from conception over to that inflammation. The body doesn't feel safe. And so there's a number of ways that you have to like achieve safeness. You also, and it's very common again with having multiple miscarriages, feeling like you're like blaming yourself and all of that. You have to find a way to move into like more like, in that instance, I know that you're being like poked and prodded at and people are just telling you about yourself. You have to connect back to your body, because you and your body are going to be the ones carrying this baby, not all these other people. And while they're on your team, I get that. You have to start to find inspiration, stories of hope, and things that help you understand how to connect back. Because, yeah, you're probably feeling it and hurting, and that's like completely fair. I would recommend that you look into a woman by the name of Amy, and it's not spelled Amy like you think. It's Aimee, Amy Raupp, Raupp. She's amazing. She will inspire you. She will also give you a lot of ways to like rethink maybe potentially how you're going about the whole thing. But again, I can help you with the blood sugar and help you with inflammation. Her book, Body Belief, is what helped me resolve most of my inflammation and help me understand a lot of things. So I would highly recommend her. Her name is Amy Raupp, Aimee Raupp. If you want the name again, hit me up on Instagram and I'll give it to you. I just like don't have anywhere to type it here, or that like I wanted to type it because it'd be so hard. Okay. Honestly, I haven't had much help and I haven't been tested at all. So yeah, I would, you should maybe like go get some blood tests, see what your inflammatory markers are saying in your body, because if there's inflammation in the body or it's raised levels, it's going to cause some barriers. Also check like vitamin D, check your thyroid, full panel, not just like TSH. Like you want TSH, free T3, free T4, you want thyroid antibodies, like you want the whole thing. You also want maybe your DHEAs, maybe. That one they'll press you on, so you might want to do something else. Like a Dutch test would be really great, and it's urine. So a Dutch test is a urine test. That catches a lot of things that could be going on. But you're going to have to go outside of the medical community in order to probably see what's going on. But you know what you'll also find outside the medical community? A way more like holistic, you-focused approach to conception and conceiving. Because honestly, what happens sometimes when you're like in the reproductive clinics and, you know, again, love that we have that at our disposal, but sometimes what you can feel like is just like labs, like numbers, like that. And it's like they're just trying to get a baby in you and trying to get a baby to stick. But it's like, no, we have to focus on like you as a woman, what's going on and how can we like support you forward so that you aren't just like shoved into motherhood by force, that you enter into it like beautifully. And it's not a process that you hate getting there. I would hate that for anyone. Oh, and the first OB didn't want to test your husband. Yeah, honestly, get a sperm test. It's so unfair that they think that all of this is just the woman, because it's not. Gotta get sperm tests too. What could it be if your numbers fasting are 120, but your A1C is still at an 8? It could be a lot of things. It could be a lot of things. It could be how you're eating, what you're eating. It could be a lot of things. This is a great talk to me question because it's like one question, but like I could ask you a bunch of questions in return to sort of like get a real feel for how to answer you, because it could just like how, like, are you eating breakfast? Are you drinking coffee on an empty stomach? How big are your meals would be another question that I would ask you. What do those meals consist of? What's your diet like? What's your sleep like? What's your like number 2 like? All of that would give me a lot of like intel as to like why that could possibly be. Okay. I've got PCOS and RA, that's inflammation all the time, sets my body haywire. I'm working to change. Yeah, having like multiple inflammatory issues is not great because you just feel like hot and bothered all the time by like all the things. I get that because eczema is incredibly inflammatory. Like my skin literally felt like hot and like it was crawling for like 18 months. It was terrible. So working on inflammation, so the thing about inflammation is like if you're having blood sugar responses every time you eat food, you are causing inflammation every single time. The byproduct of that is inflammation. And the thing about inflammation is once you have it, you have it. You have to do something about it. Like your blood sugar goes down, but it returns itself to normal generally. It might be all like this, which is still not good, but it finds its way back up. Whereas with inflammation, it's like you get it and then it's like, it's there until you are doing things to actively reverse that inflammation. And so that's why, you know, understanding your blood sugar and understanding that response, understanding your gut and your liver and those two things, because again, if your gut is in like distress, the inflammation in your body has no ability to heal itself because all the reserves that your body would be using to heal and resolve things, it's like trying to like kickstart sluggish digestion, or maybe if you're stressed all the time, it's like in your arms and legs because it's like fight or flight. So with inflammation, there's a lot of things that have to be addressed first or in tandem, like happen, and then the inflammation sort of recedes, and then you can start to do things that are actively like anti-inflammatory, which is a lot of what you're going to do to heal your gut and such. But yeah. Inflammation, it's unfortunate because it's like all these things have an inflammatory response, like everything. It's annoying. Even like if you fly a lot, that can be, because it's so stressful flying, you're going in different altitudes, that can be an inflammatory response. So there's inflammation everywhere, but if you have an inflammatory thing going on in your body, and we also have life inflammation, you need to get really good about controlling what you can control, because there's just some things we can't control. Do I have a recipe book? I don't have a recipe book at this moment. The thing about getting a book with like a publisher is the journey is long, is what I'm realizing. Again, I have the Glucose Glow Up community. That's where all my recipes are. I'm changing the format a little bit right now. So if you join, all the recipes, with the exception of ones that you've seen in like the last, I would say like 3 weeks, are up on the Glucose Glow Up community. Everything else is like coming. I'm changing the structure. If you join, you'll get the email as to what's going on. But yeah, not the recipe book is just like the actual published book is taking eons longer than I thought it would take. Let's say that. Someone says, LOL, hot and bothered. Exactly. Yeah, that's really, when you're inflamed, that's what happens, is you feel very like, I also like didn't realize, but now in hindsight can see it, that I was very reactive. Like I was kind of like, just always like hot and bothered. There's no other way to talk about it. And that's what I mean about, like needing mindset work was like really big for me, was because it was just such a big factor. And I think like how I came to become literally hot and bothered, because I was always like running so hot and like so reactive. I had to like change a lot about myself, not just the lifestyle as far as like food and eating, but just how I live my life had to change in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously for the better. I love it, but I didn't realize that at the beginning, that it was going to be like a full overhaul. I just thought I was going to have to change the way I eat, you know, those kinds of things, like watch my blood sugar, like eat for anti-inflammation, like all of that. It wasn't until I got really deep into it that I was like, oh, this is a lifestyle, like all around. But you feel so much better when you live a lifestyle that feels like it's about you and not about like other people, what other people say is good for you, what other people think you should do. There's something so freeing about that. And that really is the energy of healing. I'll say that. Just making sure I didn't miss any questions. So one thing I do want to say about foods to eat is that the foods that I would avoid, and look, I'm not the person that's going to sit up here and tell you that, you can't eat this, you shouldn't eat that ever. Like, I don't buy that. That's just like not my vibe, because I don't want to live like that. And I would never hold people to standards I can't hold myself. But I would say that like, when you are eating for healing, wellness, reversing type 2 diabetes, PCOS, inflammation, whatever, I think that you need to be thinking of like the value of everything that you're eating, because you got to maximize. Right now we're trying to maximize. So while it's like, yes, aspartame and all that stuff is safe, and like artificial sweeteners and stuff, that is considered safe to consume, yes. But are you getting anything from that? Is it helping you with your end goal? And so that doesn't mean that you can't eat them and drink those things. I just don't want you in this process to get into the mindset of that is a part of like the 80% of like 80-20. That still falls into the 20% because it's not maximizing the effort of eating. Eating is something that we have the ability to impact our blood sugar, our inflammation, our gut health, everything with every single bite of food that we take throughout the day. And while that seems like, oh my God, so much pressure, it's not. It's just about like really thinking in your head, okay, 80% of the time I'm going to be mindful of the food that I'm putting in my body. And not in like a disordered way, but in a way that's like, I want to make sure that I have energy in the morning, in the afternoon, that I'm eating food that makes me feel good. But when you're in the 20% of the time, you can do whatever you want. That's how I live. That's like 100% my mode. The 20% of the time I drink, I eat things out of order. I do whatever I want because that's life. I only get one, so I'm making sure to live it. Someone says, do I prefer Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts? I'm in Canada, so we don't have Dunkin' Donuts. So I guess Starbucks by default. I make my own coffees. Like, I used to work at Starbucks. I used to work at Red Bull. Like, you want to talk to someone who was amped all the time on, like, tons of caffeine. You are looking at her. I used to drink, like, 3 Red Bulls in a shift. Yeah. And, like, of course I was sick. Like, I did some damage in my day. That being said, I like Starbucks, but I also like making my coffees at home. The protein coffee creamer that I shared today, that's like posted now on my page, it is sort of just like the whole food dupe to the ones that you've been seeing, only because I've actually found that, like, I tried I'm not going to name the brand, but the protein coffee that you see out there, and I didn't really like it. So that's why I made this one. You can get that recipe in the Glucose Glow Up, but again, I just... trying to just empower you to know that you can reverse your type 2 diabetes. It's absolutely possible. Whatever you've been told about not being able to do this has just been told to you to disempower you, to make sure that you just do what they say. Because you're easy to deal with when you do what they say. But instead, you can be empowered to do it your way and heal naturally, doing it with, like, foods you love and that taste good and that feel good. Because if this process feels hard and punishing, you're not doing it in a way that your body likes. And I hope that I'm here to show you that you can do it in a way that feels good. So it's 10:45-ish. If there are any last questions, get them in, because I will be going off. But I also, again, post these all on YouTube, and I'll be back tomorrow morning. I think at 10, but my friend sprained her ankle, and I have to go take her some food. So I'm doing that tomorrow. So if it's in the morning, time will be revised, but I'll post it in the story. I'll start posting in my story in the morning around like 8 what time the live is going to be at, so you know. All right, everyone, no questions. I'll see you guys. If you need anything from me, you want to learn about offers, click the link in my bio. See you tomorrow.